My sister Sienna has always gotten everything she wanted. The attention, the admirers, the easy life where doors opened simply because she smiled. I learned early to stay in the shadows. It was safer there, quieter. No one expected anything from the invisible sister, which meant I could never disappoint them. Until the night Sienna brought Ethan home for dinner, and I realized some things you can't hide from. Some people see you even when you're trying desperately to disappear. Maya, where's the salad? My mother's voice cut through the kitchen where I was plating the roasted chicken I'd spent 2 hours preparing. Coming, I grabbed the bowl, checked my reflection in the microwave door out of habit. Brown hair in a ponytail, no makeup, oversized cardigan hiding whatever figure I had. Invisible, perfect. I could hear Sienna's laugh from the dining room, that practiced, musical sound she used when she wanted to charm someone. My stomach knotted. She'd been talking about her new boyfriend for 3 weeks, the photographer she'd met at some gallery opening. Apparently he was gorgeous but tragically poor, which meant Sienna viewed him as a project. He has potential, she'd told me last week while I helped her choose an outfit. Good bone structure, decent style despite the cheap clothes. I can work with that. I hadn't asked what work with that meant. With Sienna, it usually involved molding people into what she wanted them to be, then discarding them when they failed to meet her impossible standards. Taking a breath, I pushed through the kitchen door with the salad bowl. And froze. The man sitting beside Sienna at our dining room table looked up, and something in my chest cracked open. He wasn't traditionally handsome in the polished way of the men Sienna usually dated. His dark hair was slightly too long, falling into gray-blue eyes that were startling in their intensity. He wore a faded Henley jeans with worn knees, and there was a camera bag at his feet that had clearly seen better days. Everything about him screamed ordinary, except for the way he looked at me. Like he actually saw me, not through me, not past me, at me. Maya, finally. Sienna waved one manicured hand impatiently. This is Ethan. Ethan, this is my sister Maya. She's very quiet, so don't expect much conversation. It's nice to meet you, Maya. Ethan actually stood when I approached the table. His voice was deep, warm, and when he smiled, something in my stomach flipped. Thanks for making dinner. It smells incredible. I set the salad down with shaking hands. You're welcome. It's nothing special. She's being modest. My father didn't look up from his phone. Maya does all the cooking. Sienna can't boil water. I don't need to cook. Sienna tossed her highlighted hair. That's what restaurants are for, and husbands. Ethan's smile tightened almost imperceptibly, but he said nothing, just pulled out the chair beside him and gestured for me to sit. I hesitated. My usual seat was at the end of the table, as far from the center of attention as possible. But Sienna was already chatting to our mother about some influencer drama, and the only empty chair was next to Ethan. I don't bite, he said quietly, and there was something in his eyes, amusement, kindness, that made me sit. Big mistake. The moment I settled into the chair, I became hyper-aware of everything about him. The way he smelled like cedar and something citrusy. The way his sleeve was rolled up to reveal a forearm that was surprisingly muscular for a photographer. The way he reached for the salad bowl at the exact same moment I did, and our hands brushed. Electricity shot up my arm. I jerked back like I'd been burned. Ethan's eyes met mine and I saw the recognition there. He felt it too. So, Ethan. My mother's tone was polite but cool as she served herself chicken. Sienna tells us you're a photographer. Is that actually a career, or is it a hobby until you find real work? I winced. My mother had never been subtle about her obsession with status and success. It's a career. Ethan's voice remained pleasant, but I heard steel underneath. I do freelance work for various clients, editorial, commercial, some artistic projects. And that pays the bills. My father finally looked up, skepticism written across his face. Dad, I spoke before I could stop myself. That's rude. Everyone at the table turned to stare at me. I never spoke up, never contradicted, never drew attention. Sienna's eyes narrowed dangerously. It's okay. Ethan's hand moved slightly toward mine on the table, then stopped. It's a fair question. Yes, Mr. Carter, I pay my bills. I'm not rich, but I'm self-sufficient. Well, my mother sniffed. I suppose that's something. Sienna, dear, you're sure about this? You could do so much better. Mom, even I was shocked by the bluntness. But Sienna just laughed. Oh, I know, but Ethan's fun. And he's teaching me about photography. It's good for my Instagram aesthetic. I glanced at Ethan, expecting to see hurt or anger. Instead, his expression was carefully neutral, like he was observing something clinical, taking notes. Besides, Sienna continued, reaching over to squeeze Ethan's arm possessively, he's very trainable. Aren't you, babe? Apparently. Ethan's tone was mild, but when Sienna turned away to respond to a text, he caught my eye. And I saw it clearly. He knew exactly what Sienna was. He wasn't being fooled by her beauty or her charm. He was choosing to tolerate her for some reason I couldn't fathom. The rest of dinner was uncomfortable. Sienna dominated the conversation, talking about her Instagram followers and sponsored posts and some influencer party she was attending next week. My parents asked Ethan questions designed to highlight how unsuitable he was. What kind of car did he drive? Where did he live? What were his family connections? Ethan answered everything with patience and good humor, but I saw the tension in his shoulders. Saw the way his jaw tightened when Sienna made a casually cruel comment about the waiter at the restaurant they'd visited last week. He was so slow, she said, rolling her eyes. I don't understand why poor people even try to work in nice establishments. If you can't afford decent clothes, maybe find a job that doesn't require them. Sienna, my voice came out sharper than intended. That's horrible. Oh, don't be so sensitive, Maya, I'm just being honest. Sienna turned to Ethan. She's always been too soft, cries at commercials, can you imagine? I think sensitivity is underrated. Ethan looked at me, and something in his gaze made my breath catch. The world needs more people who actually feel things. Sienna laughed, spoken like someone who's never had to compete for anything. Feelings don't get you ahead, babe. Ambition does. After dinner, I escaped to the kitchen to start on dishes. It was my ritual, clean up while everyone else relaxed, stay busy so no one expected me to participate in conversation. I was elbow-deep in soapy water when I heard footsteps behind me. You don't have to do that. Ethan appeared beside me picking up a dish towel. You cooked, someone else should clean. It's fine, I don't mind. Still, he started drying the plate I just rinsed. Let me help. We worked in silence for a moment. Through the doorway, I could hear Sienna's laugh as she showed our parents something on her phone, probably her latest sponsored post. Your sister is very confident, Ethan said carefully. That's one word for it. I scrubbed at a stubborn bit of food. Look, you don't have to be polite. I know what Sienna's like. Do you? She's my sister. I've lived with her for 24 years. I rinsed another plate, not looking at him. She's beautiful and charming, and she knows it. She's used to getting whatever she wants, and she treats people like they're disposable when they don't serve a purpose. That's harsh. It's honest. I finally met his eyes. I love her, but I'm not blind to her flaws. And yet you defend her. She's family, that's what you do. I handed him the plate. Why are you with her? If you can see what she's like, why stay? Ethan was quiet for a long moment, drying the plate with more attention than it required. Maybe I needed to be sure about what kind of person she really is. That's a strange reason to date someone. Maybe, he set the dried plate in the cupboard, without asking where it went, he'd somehow noticed. What about you? Anyone special in your life? Me, I laughed, but it came out bitter. No, I'm not exactly the type people notice. I noticed you. The words hung between us. I looked up sharply, and the intensity in his gray-blue eyes made my pulse race. "You noticed the person who cooked your dinner," I said, trying to lighten the moment. "That doesn't count." "I noticed you the second I walked in." Ethan's voice was quiet, serious. "You were carrying that salad bowl and you checked your reflection in the microwave, saw yourself and dismissed yourself in the same breath. And I thought, doesn't she know?" "Know what?" "That she's the most interesting person in this house." My hands stilled in the dishwater. "You don't know me." "Not yet." He picked up another plate to dry, "but I'd like to." "Ethan." "There you are." Sienna appeared in the doorway, frowning. "Babe, what are you doing? Maya can handle the dishes. That's literally her only job around here." I flinched. Ethan's jaw tightened. "I was helping," he said evenly. "Well, stop, you're the guest." Sienna linked her arm through his, pulling him away from the sink. "Besides, I need to talk to you about something." As she dragged Ethan back toward the living room, he glanced over his shoulder at me. Our eyes met, and I saw an apology there, or maybe a promise. I turned back to the dishes, my heart hammering, and tried to convince myself I'd imagined the electricity between us. I failed. 20 minutes later, I'd finished cleaning and was heading upstairs to my room when Sienna's voice stopped me. "Oh, by the way, Maya." She was draped across the couch, Ethan sitting stiffly beside her. "Ethan's going to be staying in our guest room for a few weeks." I froze on the stairs. "What?" "His apartment flooded, total disaster, and since we have the space I offered," Sienna smiled sweetly. "You don't mind, do you?" Mind? Mind that the first man I'd felt anything for in years, who happened to be my sister's boyfriend, would be living under the same roof. "Of course not," I heard myself say. "Welcome to the chaos." Ethan's eyes found mine across the room. "Thank you, Maya. I promise I'll stay out of your way." That was the problem. I didn't want him out of my way. I wanted him exactly where he was most dangerous, close enough to destroy my carefully constructed walls. "The guest room is next to mine," Sienna was saying. "Down the hall from Maya's. She's always up at some ungodly hour, so you might hear her stomping around." "I don't stomp," I said quietly. "Whatever. Anyway, this will be fun. Like having a live-in photographer. You can take all my Instagram photos now, babe. Save me so much money." Ethan's expression was unreadable. "Great." I escaped to my room before I could say something stupid, before I could ask him why he was really staying, why he'd looked at me like that in the kitchen, why every rational part of my brain was screaming that this was a terrible idea, while every other part was hopping he'd knock on my door. He didn't. But the next morning at 6 a.m., when I stumbled into the kitchen for coffee, he was already there. "Morning," he said, looking unfairly good in rumpled sleep clothes. "I made coffee. Hope that's okay." I stared at the full pot, at the mug he'd already poured for me, at the way he'd somehow guessed I took it with cream and sugar. "How did you?" "Lucky guess." His smile was soft. "You seem like someone who likes a little sweetness with your morning." "Thank you." I took the mug, our fingers brushing again. Same electric shock, same awareness. We stood in the quiet kitchen, sipping coffee as dawn broke through the windows, and I realized with sinking certainty that the next few weeks were going to change everything. I just didn't know how much. The morning coffee ritual became our secret. Every day at 6 a.m., I'd find Ethan in the kitchen with 2 mugs ready. We'd talk in low voices about everything and nothing. Books, photography, the news, our dreams. Sienna never appeared before 11, and my parents left for work by 7:30, so those early hours belonged to us alone. "You're an early riser too," I observed on the third morning, wrapping my hands around the warm mug. "Habit from my old job," Ethan said. "Plus I like the quiet. The world feels more honest before everyone wakes up and puts on their masks." "What job?" I realized I knew almost nothing about him except that he took photos and somehow tolerated my sister. I worked in tech for a while, long hours, high stress. He stared into his coffee. Eventually, I realized I was miserable. The money was good, but I was dying inside. So I quit and picked up photography seriously. That's brave. Or stupid, depending on who you ask. His smile was wry. Your parents certainly think it's stupid. My parents think anything that doesn't come with a six-figure salary is stupid. I surprised myself with the honesty. They're not bad people, just limited in their view of what matters. And what matters to you, Maya? The question caught me off guard. No one ever asked what mattered to me. Books, I said finally. Stories, the way words can make you feel less alone. And kindness, people who notice the invisible ones. Like you. I'm not invisible, I'm just deliberately overlooked. Ethan's eyes held mine. There's a difference. People don't miss you, Maya. They choose not to see you because if they did, they'd have to acknowledge how much they take you for granted. My throat tightened. That's depressingly accurate. For what it's worth, I see you, every day, more clearly than anyone else in this house. Before I could respond, we heard movement upstairs. Sienna's alarm, which meant she'd hit snooze 3 times before actually getting up. Ethan and I exchanged a look, part guilt, part conspiracy, and quickly moved apart. Same time tomorrow, he asked quietly. Same time tomorrow, I agreed. And that's how it went. Days of careful distance when Sienna was around, stolen moments of connection when she was. I told myself we were just friends, that the electricity between us was my imagination, that the way he looked at me like I was rare and precious meant nothing. I was lying to myself, and I knew it. By the end of the first week, Sienna's true nature was on full display. She treated Ethan like a combination of servant and accessory, making him carry her shopping bags, demanding he photograph her for hours while she changed outfits, criticizing his work when it didn't make her look perfect enough. This lighting is terrible, babe. Sienna thrust her phone at Ethan, showing him an Instagram photo he'd taken. I look washed out, do it again. You look beautiful. Ethan's patience never wavered, which amazed me. The lighting is natural, that's what you asked for. Well, I changed my mind. I want dramatic, like editorial dramatic. At 10 a.m. in your bedroom. Are you saying you can't do it? Sienna's tone turned sharp. Because I can find another photographer easily, one who actually knows what he's doing. I was passing in the hallway, arms full of laundry, and I couldn't stay quiet. Sienna, he's doing you a favor. Maybe don't be so. So what, Maya? My sister turned on me. So demanding, so honest about what I want. Just because you accept mediocrity doesn't mean I have to. Ethan's expression went carefully blank. I recognized that look. He was filing away information, confirming what he already suspected about Sienna. Forget it, I muttered, continuing to my room. But an hour later, when Sienna left for a nail appointment, Ethan knocked on my door. Can I come in? I glanced around my room. Piles of books, cozy blankets, nothing like Sienna's Instagram-ready space, and nodded. Ethan stepped inside, and I was suddenly aware of how intimate it felt having him in my personal space. He looked around with interest, taking in the overflowing bookshelves, the framed quotes on the walls, the comfortable chaos. This is so you, he said with a smile. Is that good or bad? Very good. He picked up a book from my nightstand, East of Eden, Steinbeck, one of my favorites. Mine too. I sat on my bed, tucking my legs under me. The whole Timshel concept that we have choice, that we're not doomed by our nature, I find that comforting. What would you choose if you could choose anything? Ethan sat in my desk chair, completely at ease. No limitations, no judgment. I'd choose to be seen. The answer came immediately. Not for being Sienna's sister or my parents' daughter or someone's future wife, just seen for who I actually am. I see you. You keep saying that. Because it keeps being true. Ethan leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Maya, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. My heart raced. Okay. Why don't you believe in love? I blinked. What? Last night at dinner, your mom mentioned setting you up with someone. You said you weren't interested in dating, that love was a trap. Why? I didn't want to answer, didn't want to expose that vulnerable truth. But something about the way Ethan looked at me, open, genuinely curious without judgment, made the words spill out. My parents got married because my mom was pregnant with Sienna. They did the right thing, and they've been miserable ever since. I pulled at a thread on my blanket. They stay together out of obligation and habit. They're polite roommates who occasionally fight about money or whose turn it is to disappoint whose family at the holidays. That's not love. That's a prison sentence. That's their marriage, not all marriages. Every couple I know is either miserable or lying to themselves about being happy. Love is just temporary insanity that fades into resentment. I met his eyes. So no, I don't believe in it. I believe in friendship and kindness and shared interests. But love, that's just chemicals in your brain tricking you into making bad decisions. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. It's realistic. It's tragic. Ethan stood, moved closer. What if you're wrong? What if real love exists and you've just never seen it because you've been surrounded by the wrong examples? What if I'm right and you're the one being naive? Then I'd rather be naive and hopeful than realistic and alone. His words hit harder than they should have. Because wasn't that exactly what I was? Alone by choice, protected by cynicism, too afraid of disappointment to reach for anything real. Why are you with Sienna? I asked suddenly. And don't give me that cryptic answer about needing to be sure. What does that mean? Ethan was quiet for a long moment. Then he sat beside me on the bed. Close enough that I felt the heat of him. I was engaged once, he said quietly, 3 years ago, to a woman I thought loved me. We were planning the wedding when I hit a rough patch financially. Some investments went bad, I had to liquidate assets, the business I was building struggled. Suddenly I wasn't the same catch I'd been. What happened? She cheated with someone who had what I'd temporarily lost, money, status, security. When I caught them, she told me she'd loved me, but she loved financial stability more. His laugh was bitter. She said I should understand. That love doesn't pay bills. My chest ached. I'm sorry. After that, I started testing people, pretending to have less than I did, watching how they treated me when they thought I was struggling. It's ugly and cynical, but you needed to protect yourself. Yes, Ethan turned to face me fully. I needed to know if anyone could love me without the money, without the status, just me. Is that what you're doing with Sienna, testing her? At first, yes. She approached me at that gallery and I could see exactly what she saw, someone good-looking but clearly not wealthy, a project, an accessory. His gray-blue eyes were intense. I wanted to confirm my cynicism, to prove that everyone is like my ex, that love is transactional and conditional. And then I met you, and everything got complicated. The air between us felt electric, dangerous. Ethan, you didn't look at my clothes or my camera or try to calculate my net worth. You looked at me like I was a person. You defended me to your parents even though it meant drawing attention to yourself, which I know you hate. And every morning you show up in that kitchen and talk to me about books and dreams and things that matter, and you have no idea. He stopped, jaw tight. You have no idea what you're doing to me. We can't, my voice was barely a whisper. You're with Sienna. Am I? Or am I just tolerating Sienna while falling in love with her sister? The confession hung between us, like a lit match near gasoline. You don't love me, I said, but my conviction was crumbling. You barely know me. I know you make coffee exactly the way I like it even though I never told you how. I know you leave sticky notes around the house with quotes from books because you think words can make people feel less alone. I know you cry during commercials and apologize to furniture when you bump into it, and you read to yourself in different voices when you think no one's listening. You've been watching me. It should have felt creepy. Instead, it felt like being cherished. I can't help it. You're the most real person I've ever met, Maya. And I. A door slammed downstairs. Sienna's voice called out, "Babe, where are you? I need you to drive me to Sephora." Reality crashed back. Ethan stood quickly, putting distance between us. "I should go." "Ethan, wait." I stood too, my mind racing. "What are we doing? This is wrong, I know." But he didn't move toward the door. "I'm supposed to be with your sister. You're supposed to be invisible. We're supposed to stay in our designated roles." "Yes. And if I don't want to? If I want to break every rule and kiss you and damn the consequences?" My breath caught. Then we'd both get hurt. Sienna would never forgive me. My parents would take her side. I'd lose my whole family. Would that be so terrible? Losing people who don't appreciate you anyway. They're still my family. Ethan. Sienna's voice was closer now, irritated. "Coming," he called back. Then quieter just for me. "I'm not done with this conversation with you." He left and I collapsed back onto my bed, my heart hammering. What was I doing? Falling for my sister's boyfriend was the ultimate betrayal. It was selfish and wrong and exactly the kind of thing that would confirm every terrible thing Sienna had ever said about me. But God help me, I was falling anyway. That night, unable to sleep, I went downstairs for water. The house was dark, everyone else asleep, or so I thought. "Can't sleep either." I jumped, nearly dropping my glass. Ethan sat on the back porch, visible through the kitchen window. Without thinking, I grabbed another glass of water and joined him outside. The night air was cool, stars scattered across the sky like spilled diamonds. We sat in the porch chairs, carefully maintaining space between us. "Sienna went to some influencer party," Ethan said. "Didn't invite me. Wrong aesthetic, apparently." "I'm sorry." "Don't be, it's clarifying." He turned to look at me. "Maya, I need to tell you something." My heart raced. "Okay." "I'm going to break up with Sienna." "What, why?" "Because this," he gestured between us, "whatever this is, it's real. What I have with your sister is a performance, for both of us. You can't break up with her because of me. Ethan, that's. It's not because of you, it's because of me." His voice was firm. "I came here testing people, expecting the worst, and I found it with Sienna. She's proven everything I suspected, that some people only care about surfaces and status. But you," his hand reached out, stopping just short of touching mine. "You've proven something else, that maybe I was wrong to give up on finding something real." "I don't do real," I whispered. "I don't believe in love, remember." "Then let me believe enough for both of us, at least at first." "Ethan." "Just think about it, please." He stood, and for a moment I thought he'd leave. Instead, he leaned down, his hand finally making contact, brushing my cheek so gently I could have imagined it. "Think about what it would be like if we stopped hiding, if we chose each other despite everything." Then he was gone, leaving me alone with the stars and a choice I didn't know how to make. The next morning, Ethan didn't come down for coffee. Neither did Sienna. At 11 a.m., she finally appeared, her face red and splotchy from crying. "That bastard broke up with me." My blood went cold. "What?" "Ethan, he said he didn't think we were compatible, that he'd made a mistake." Sienna threw herself onto the couch dramatically. "Can you believe that? He broke up with me, like I'm not the catch here." "Sienna, I'm sorry." "Don't," she held up a hand. "I don't need sympathy, I need revenge. Do you know how embarrassing this is? I told everyone about him, posted photos. Now I have to explain why he's gone. Maybe just tell the truth, that it didn't work out." "The truth?" Sienna's laugh was harsh. "The truth makes me look dumped. I'm going to say I ended it, that he was boring and broke and not worth my time." That's not fair to him. Who cares? He's nobody. Sienna pulled out her phone, already crafting her narrative. Wait, where is he? He better not still be staying here. I think he's packing, I said quietly, though my heart was breaking at the thought. Good. Tell him not to let the door hit him on the way out. Sienna stormed upstairs. I found Ethan in the guest room, a duffel bag on the bed, methodically folding his few possessions. You did it, I said from the doorway. He looked up and the sadness in his eyes made my chest ache. I did. She's devastated and angry. I know, I'm sorry for that. He zipped the bag, but I couldn't keep pretending. It wasn't fair to her or to me. Where will you go? I have a place, I'll be fine. He picked up the bag, then paused. Maya, what I said last night. I know. Do you? He moved closer. Because I meant every word. I'm done with pretending and testing and protecting myself. I want real, I want you. We can't, Sienna. Sienna doesn't love me. She loves the idea of fixing me, of molding me into what she wants. That's not love. His free hand cupped my cheek. But the way you look at me, the way we talk about books at 6 a.m. and you trust me with your thoughts, that could be love, if we let it. I'm scared. Me too. His thumb traced my cheekbone. Be scared with me anyway. Maya, Sienna's voice from upstairs. Where the hell are you? Ethan dropped his hand immediately. Think about it, please. I'll be thinking about you. He left his number on a piece of paper on the bed, then walked out without looking back. I stood in the empty guest room, holding that scrap of paper like a lifeline, and tried to figure out if I was brave enough to reach for something real. Or if I'd spend the rest of my life wondering what if. And that is where we end part 1. If you've been feeling the tension, the forbidden emotions, the chaos building inside that house, trust me, what's coming next is even deeper, even messier, and absolutely worth your time. Before you go, do me a favor. Backhand index pointing right like this video if the story pulled you in. Backhand index pointing right subscribe so you don't miss the moment everything explodes in part 2. Backhand index pointing right drop a comment telling me what you think about Maya, Ethan, and Sienna, because your thoughts help this story grow. You've stayed with me through every heartbeat, every stolen glance, every crack forming under the surface. And the next chapter, it will reward your patience, big time. Stay tuned, part 2 is coming, and it will shake everything you think you know.